Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. This is from a guy, he is 30 years old, and he's going to share his story about events that happened a few years ago when he was in his mid-20s. Events that happened when he started hooking up with, dating, and getting involved with a complete and total train wreck. And you're going to see in this story, guys, that the woman he gets involved with has qualities and traits pretty much across the board of things I tell you to avoid like the plague. And yet, before he had this knowledge, which he obviously has now, he jumped in with both feet. And it was a complete nightmare. So in a way, I'm doing this as like a public service announcement just to show you guys what not to do, what to avoid. And certainly will be entertaining to hear this type of thing because, you know, it's amazing to me. As you can imagine, I get lots of comments all the time, comments in the videos, emails, direct messages on Instagram from people that are fans, that like my work, that tell me how I've helped them, tell me their stories. But I got a lot of haters too and tell me I'm full of crap. I don't know what I'm talking about. I exaggerate. So to people that may stumble upon this and think I'm full of crap about the warnings I give and things like that, okay, don't listen to me. Do things like this guy is going to do in this story and watch what happens. And then you can come back down the road and when you know I'm right, you'll admit it. Or you won't. But anyhow, guys, you're going to see here this guy does all the things I tell you not to do. Like, wait for it, gets involved with a woman he works with. You all know the problems there. Or a woman that has not only one kid, but 4 kids. Or whose baby daddy's in prison. Amongst many other things. So sit back and enjoy the show. He starts off, he says, Hi SSM. I am a 30-year-old male, and I want to tell you a story about an ex of mine. In the past, that was 10 years older than me. At the time, I was in my mid-20s, and she was in her mid-30s. Let's call her D. Interesting that you're going to call her D, given the fact that clearly from this story I know, she likes a whole lot of D. And 10 years older than you? Smack. Bad idea. It's one thing for hookups, and even be careful then, but relationship, 10 years older, what happens in these stories when the guys get involved with women much older than them? They really do their best to boss the guy around, and the guys usually let it. Not a good place to be. And if you're a guy that's working on himself, making the best he can be, you're going to get a relationship, get a younger chick, not an older one, unless you got mommy issues. He says, I met D at work. Smack. You don't get involved with women you work with. Bad idea. The job, the career, that's where you make your money, make your living. You don't want to jeopardize it by getting involved with a chick you work with, let alone what can happen nowadays with the Me Too shit. And she was extremely flirty with me and gave me her number. At the time, we worked in different departments, and I figured it wouldn't be a big deal to hang out and date. I knew she was older than me, and she had 4 kids, but I figured things wouldn't get too serious, so I didn't care at the time. 4 kids. So let's review. She's 10 years older than you. You work with her. She's a single MOM with not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 children. Not exactly an ideal situation to get involved, to date, let alone relationship. But you're probably thinking, oh, no big deal. I'll just hook up with her and I'll get over her and move on. Well, clearly that isn't the case. Clearly the mid-20s you wasn't capable of doing that. But y'all got to learn the hard way. Of course, the baby daddy was in prison. Of course he was. Here's a question. Were all 4 of those kids from the same baby daddy? I'm going to bet no. So he really wasn't a factor from what I've been told. For the first couple weeks, I swear I only knew her on her back. The only time I saw her walk was around the office. Imagine that. This worked out well for me because all I wanted to do was smash. All my friends told me to not get involved with her because she was way older than me and she had, of course, 4 kids. This is when you should have listened to your friends. Now, there are times when not to listen to your friends when you're making really important life decisions about yourself, but they could tell there's trouble. But you were loving the pee. You were loving the pee from that crazy chick. Remember? And mid-30s, 4 kids. I mean, you must be packing a pretty big one down there because there's got to be a lot of empty space after 4 kids. Good Lord. D had a habit of going out to drink after work with coworkers, but the drinking scene wasn't really something I wanted to do. I should have realized at the time it was going to be a problem. I was in the Army National Guard, and every time I had to leave for duty, she would swear she wasn't at the bar, but she always started arguments when I left. Ah, she's a drama queen. She likes to pick fights. Imagine that. And yet you're still with her. Anytime I left, she would find the most minute thing to complain about and then end any argument with, I don't want to talk about it anymore, don't call me. Okay, so we can add drama queen to the list, terrible communicator to the list. What a great reason to stick around with this chick. You can't tell me you're not capable of getting other chicks. And you can't tell me you weren't capable of getting other chicks that were freaky in the sack. But for whatever reason, you were drawn to the crazy one. I knew at the beginning that I didn't want a relationship with this girl, but somehow we ended up in one. A woman like this is not relationship material. She is, at best, a quick hookup, friends with benefits. No, not even friends with benefits. Maybe at best, if you must, a quick hookup. But even then, you work with her. Imagine the drama that could bring to the workplace, and, well, you're going to see what happens. Relationship material, you're out of your damn mind. A woman like this is incapable of being loyal. And again, look at all the drama before you're not even in a relationship with her. Once you made it official, she was extremely controlling. Shocker. 10 years older than you, she sees herself having the upper hand, knows better than you, and by you giving into your relationship, she's like, well, challenge is gone. So now I'm going to test this young guy. I'm going to throw all this BS his way and see if he takes it. That's what happens. She was extremely controlling. I couldn't talk to other female workers, look in their direction, and if we had team potlucks, I couldn't take any food that was made from another woman. That sounds like a lot of fun. I think half this shit is just her seeing, she's obviously nuts and controlling, but I think half this, or maybe 3/4, is just to see what kind of stupid rules and crap can I make this guy actually agree to. Let's see. And by the way, notice when you weren't in a relationship with her and when you were doing what you wanted to do and she was chasing you, she was hooking up with you left and right. But now you're in a relationship, which means you caved, and she's giving you all these rules which you're obediently following, and you're getting more BS and more BS. I guarantee you that if you weren't getting in a relationship with her and making her chase after you, and you certainly wouldn't abide by any so-called rules that she made up and guarantee you she wouldn't follow, this wouldn't be happening. Not that you should be involved with her, but you get my point. He says, it sounds crazy, but this is the way she was, and my blue pill nature at the time just accepted it. All the while, she would go to the bar and hang out with friends, especially guy friends, who she swore were just friends. Yeah, define friends. Over the course of a year, I put up with her hitting me in the work parking lot, hitting me in our apartment parking lot, keying my car, and yelling outside of my apartment. Dude, for your dumbass ways, you deserved all this. And you learned the hard way, because guys, you remember his friends warned him, don't get involved with her? And I'm sure you could get other women, but you chose her. What do you think your parents would say if they saw you with a chick like this? They'd probably tell you out of your damn mind. I honestly don't know why I stayed with her. I'm a relatively good-looking guy and not short of options because during our relationship, I had several women trying to get with me. My friends and family all wanted me to leave her, but for some reason, I couldn't. There you go. All your friends and family. To this day, I cannot explain it. She just had a hold of me. Dude, you let her had a hold of you. Obviously, there's some psychological thing that drew you into her. Probably thinking, oh, she was so great in the beginning, so I got to win her over, or I don't know what. Or maybe you got mommy issues. Fuck, I don't know. But I'm glad you learned. We had these rules that we had to follow, like we can't go out without one another, talk to others, or flirt with others at work. Of course, all these rules just applied to me, and anytime I called her on her bullcrap, she'd get angry and even sometimes violent. The main rule was going out without each other, a rule that she always violated. I couldn't have female friends, but she insisted on hanging out with guy friends because they were just part of her friend group. Again, I think she's nuts. I think we can agree on that, and controlling. But I think a lot of this is just to see what crap you'll put up with. And you did. And by you putting up with more of her crap, did that make her more attracted to you or less attracted? Duh. Remember, her ex or baby daddy's in prison. So she liked, obviously, bad boys she can't control. So in the beginning, she couldn't control you, and she was on her back left and right and doing whatever you wanted. Then she started being able to you start being obedient and compliant, and then this is what you get. It says here, there was this one particular guy that was married that she would absolutely refuse to not hang out with. This was a major red flag. But she swore she stopped hanging out with him, but she couldn't help it. He was around her when they got in the friend group. She's rubbing up against a married guy. She's a homewrecker. 2 years into our relationship. Dude, you were with her for 2 years. One of my coworkers mentioned that her and my girlfriend had a good time at the bar the other night. This came as a shock to me because she told me she was at home. Thank God we never moved in together. Okay, a little bit of redemption that you had to have good sense not to move in with this broad. Yeah, imagine that with the 4 screaming kids. This came as a shock to me. I mentioned that part. She told me that her and Dee got so drunk they had to go get Ubers to take them home, and she had to walk Dee to her apartment. This was one of the days Dee told me she was too mad to argue. Seeing that I was obviously furious because I didn't know. My coworker informed me that she goes out often, and Dee never acted like we were a couple. I took the hint and plotted how to catch her in the act I had to see for myself. Wasn't that enough? Wasn't it enough for your so-called friend to tell you this? And your family and your friends to say this chick is trouble and all the bullshit she's bringing in your life for you to learn? Now, you didn't mention this, but are you getting laid during all this? Is she still doing the crazy shit in bed with you during all this? And even then, it's not something to brag about, given the fact that she's 10 years older than you and has popped out 4 children. After work one day, I asked Dee if she was at home because I wanted to go over. She told me she was too tired to hang out and didn't want to argue, but I knew something was up. I decided to drive by the bar. I just had a gut feeling she'd be there. I drove by and didn't see her truck initially and figured that she must really be at home, but when I turned my car around to go home, I saw her truck parked in the back of the bar. She drives a truck. There's another red flag for you. I caught her. I went and parked my car next to her truck and confirmed it was hers. I don't know what came over me, but I wanted to see it. I wanted to see if she was cheating on me. I went up to the bar and opened the door. Sitting right in the middle of the bar was her, and she was kissing another man. Imagine that. This is Miss with the rules that you can't talk to another woman, you can't look at another woman, you can't have potluck or food for another woman, you can't, all these other rules, but she's there at the bar making out with some dude. Seeing it with my own eyes, I felt a huge sigh of relief. I finally had what I needed, get over her. I went over to the table, sat down right next to her, and ordered a beer. The guy must have felt awkward, so he excused himself to go to the restroom. I wasn't mad at him. He actually helped me. I took a long swig of my beer and told her, I effing caught you. Of course, she denied it and tried to gaslight me into thinking that I was insecure and she was just hanging out with a friend. You walked in there, saw her making out with a dude, her tongue down his throat, and you're insecure, and it's your fault. And what else here? What did she also say? She denied it. Right there. But I'm guessing, number one, this is her way, but number two, you obviously demonstrated so much weakness all these years with her, and she figures, I can get this guy to stick around regardless of this. We teach people, I mean, honestly, guys, in life, we teach people how to treat us. It's the freaking truth. And I've heard people talk about this before. It really is true. You do teach people how to treat you. And if you allow BS in your life and disrespect, they're like, okay, this is what I can do to this guy. I finished my beer by the time the guy came back. The bar didn't take the card, so she paid for the beer. At this time, she must have thought I would stay with her. I left the bar, blocked her number. I called the coworker that informed me that Dee was always at the bar. The coworker invited me over to talk about it. 20 minutes later, we were hooking up in her apartment. While we were hooking up, I could see my ex blowing up my phone on all different social media apps, and we had just smiled. So, now you're hooking up with another chick that you work with. Did you not learn your lesson before? Yeah, you probably felt good getting revenge, and yeah, you were getting some ass, and thank God you were wearing condoms, otherwise you could have kids with these train wrecks. Come on, dude. The coworker that I was hooking up with could see the messages too, and she loved it. Love the turmoil, love the drama. So you guys have another drama queen. You're attracted to a certain type man, or at least you were back then. After this, I couldn't see D at work without her staring daggers at me and trying to apologize when I wouldn't react. Imagine that. You broke up with her, you ghosted her, you have nothing to do with her, and all of a sudden she's back to apologizing to you and all that when staring daggers at you wouldn't work. Shocker. I ended up switching departments after a couple months of this, not to mention I couldn't be professional where I was basically the talk of the company. So for me, the move was the most logical decision. Now I'm with an awesome woman, not a coworker. Good. She and I love to watch your videos and other RP content. I wish I'd found your videos sooner. The end. Well, guys, like I said at the beginning, this is a public service announcement of what not to do. So let's review of the do nots in life when it comes to you dating a relationship, guys. Do not get involved with one of your coworkers. I know there was a time and place that it was common to get involved with your coworkers because, of course, you see them all the time. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Not anymore. Not in the era of Me Too. You don't want to get involved with one of them. Doesn't work out for whatever reason. And you get the one that happens to be psycho, wants to get revenge, and makes up some shit and goes to HR and you're out of a job. Not worth it. Plenty of other women out there. Pick one from that you don't work with. Okay? Right there. He had to change departments because of her. Okay? Don't do that. Next one. I don't even have to elaborate about getting involved with the single MOMs. Okay? Are there some single MOMs that are cool and have their shit together? Yes. But there are a lot that are wackos. You don't need that. And she had 4 kids. Next. Her baby dad was in prison. Imagine the ramifications of that. The problems that could happen there. Another one. The controlling thing. And her being 10 years older. Almost all these stories I do, these guys get involved with the women that are much older than them. Sometimes even 2 years older than them. The women somehow think they can run the show. And the guys get bossed around. They let it happen. You're going to get involved, have a girl that's younger than you. Because number one, she's going to be closer to her prime. And 2, she's not going to try to control you as much. She will try to control you if you let her. See what I mean? All these things. And then also, all his family and friends were telling him she's trouble. He didn't listen. Now, there are situations where you got to do what's best for you. And even if your friends and family don't agree with it, like say you're with an awful person, you break up with her, and they think you're overreacting, that's different. But when you're involved with someone and everybody's telling you she's trouble, you got to listen to them and really think about it, right? And there are plenty of other red flags here. And just being compliant and letting her tell you what to do, look what happened. The second he got involved with her, which is the ultimate validation for her, boom. Start controlling him, laying out all these rules, and he just obeyed them. Obey, obey, obey. Women are attracted to men that are obedient and compliant. They're attracted to the ones that are challenged. They can't have their way with. And then it ends up with him fooling around with another coworker. So, I'm glad now, bro, that you are doing better, that you're no longer dating a coworker. I'm glad you watch this type of content, and I really hope you've learned. And I'm sure you have many fronts, and that you do well. But I recommend you keep watching this type of content, maybe reading some good books, working on yourself, having this self-respect not to take any shit, and go from there, and you'll be all right. So, guys, thought this would be a good one here, a good thing about what not to do. I know I do a lot of stories that are crazy and funny, and the guy is the big hero at the end, but this is one of them where he's doing well now, but my God, they make a lot of mistakes. But this is how we learn. We learn by screwing up. If you learn from your mistakes, then it's not a total loss. You know, this guy sharing his story and all this stuff, and me definitely giving a verbal tongue lashing will maybe help some other guy one day who watches this video and says, I'm not going to do the same thing. Or if a situation arises, then he'll make sure, oh, I remember that video that SSM did back in 2022. I'm not going to do those things because this will probably happen to me. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know, guys, if you ever gotten involved with someone like this with these many problems, how to work out. And again, like I say all the time, for people that think I'm full of crap and they think I don't know what I'm talking about or overreacting, okay, do the opposite of what I say and see how it works out for you. Just don't come crying to me when it doesn't and you get your heart broken or you're taken advantage of or you're bankrupt because of one of these wackos. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.